Katherine doesn't let her disability get in the way of the important work she does. She regularly flies here to Wellington to meet at the Children's Commission. So Katherine, you're a bit of a jet setter. How many times do you fly down to Wellington each year?
About once every 3 months or so, so about 4 times a year.
Wow. There's not many 16-year-olds who are flying down to Wellington for meetings, is there?
No, but I enjoy it. I mean, it's great fun and I love the people I work with and I love what I'm doing.
Katherine tells a great story about receiving the call from the Children's Commission. It paints a clear picture of this confident young woman.
We get this phone call completely out of the blue, and it's somebody who rings up and says, I'm Rod Davis and I'm from the Children's Commission. Is your mum there?
My thinking was that I would ask the parents first and say to the parents, look, this is what's happened and can I speak to your child?
So I was like, well, I suppose you could answer my questions. And I sat down and he's like, right. So he's asking me all these long-winded, really funny, politically correct questions with like really strange words.
And I just went in my mind, I went into this huge blur and thought, how do I ask all these questions? And they were basically around the practicalities of what she could and could not do.
Hold on a second, I'm going to stop you right there. You want to find out what my disability is, don't you? And he went, complete moment of silence, like, that was not supposed to happen. And then I was like, that's what you want to know? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. Okay, right, so how much do you know? Nothing. Sweet. And so we spent about half an hour, me just explaining that, like, you know, I'm pretty much completely independent. And he was like, oh, okay, that's good. Yes, that's fine.
So it was a leveller. It just sort of levelled things really well, and I guess that was the start of what I consider to be a really constructive and positive relationship.
Katherine is one of 10 young people from around the country on the Young Persons Reference Group.
No, 48, give or take. Counting. And we all come from really different backgrounds and we all think quite differently, which makes meetings very interesting and lots of debates and stuff. And basically we all meet together and talk about issues that are affecting young people in our regions. And like, for example, I talk a lot about issues in the disability sector.
She's a storm. She hits Wellington 100 k's and it doesn't stop until she's back on that plane. And it's full on, and it's really, once she's organised herself and got her needs met, you then are interacting on an incredibly fine intellectual plane, and that's why she's there.
So how does the work you do here affect you in your life?
I've become a lot more aware of like youth issues at the moment, and I have an opportunity to help change like the way things happen, or I can be sure that a youth voice is actually being heard because of the link I have here. So.
Okay, so you go and buy your groceries?
Back in Auckland, Katherine works as a mentor and mediator to fellow students at the Mount Roskill Grammar School McLean Centre.
A lot of the time I've had a lot of trouble like out in the main school kind of getting a key social group outside of the McLean Centre, because a lot of people think she's part of the McLean Centre, so that's it. You know, you have to be part of it, you have to have everything to do with it. And it's like my peer group as well as, you know, other like people at school, but especially my peer group is like, oh, so we're allowed to socialise with you because you're in a chair. Like a lot of people, it's inexperience or ignorance, whatever you want to call it, and they're just not used to it.
Out in the community, Katherine continually advocates on behalf of all people with disabilities.
I've had a couple of times where I'll say to somebody, you know, you shouldn't do that, like you shouldn't use a disabled toilet because you're not disabled, and it's like, yeah, but I'm only using it for 2 minutes, and it's like, well, yeah, for you it's 2 minutes, but for me it's my life. So like, you know, a lot of older people will just kind of be like, oh, why would I want to not do what's convenient for me?
Yeah, I come across that a lot too. It's just a sort of ignorance, isn't it, that people, I like what you say. They say it's only 2 minutes. For me, it's my life. Yeah. Even the bilingual conversation at the dinner table is politically charged.
Donc la balance, elle est plutôt pour la...
Ouais, mais ça veut pas dire automatiquement qu'elle va gagner. Pardon, mais tu peux pas dire ça parce que
So you're perfectly bilingual. You speak French as well as you speak English. Do you find that helps with your disability at all?
The way I think and like changing tasks or whatever, like I'm pretty good with doing about 30 things at once. At the dinner table, I might speak French 1 second, at the same time be having a conversation with someone else in English.
You don't know that.
And have, you know, chops of a conversation over here and chops of a conversation over there. And, like, it means that I can, like, focus on things a lot better.
And Katherine's planning a career as a human rights lawyer. No surprises there.
I've always kind of thought that if I didn't have my disability, there's lots of people I wouldn't have met. There's lots of things I wouldn't have done. There's lots of things I wouldn't have seen. I would be a completely different person. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
As we left the Rees family to their evening meal, the conversation predictably spun back to politics.
I mean, the Barack Obama thing. There's all those first-time voters.
And he's, I don't know, something ridiculous, like he's pro-abortion and then anti-AIDS and then, oh my God, I was like, what?